Welcome, everybody. First of all, my name is Richard DeSauger, and I am a member of the Mashpee Historical Commission. And on behalf of the entire commission, I want to welcome everyone to what is the 4th annual Mashpee Historical Preservation Awards ceremony. Now, having said that, because of the pandemic, this is actually the 2nd ceremony due to our inability to hold the event in 2019 and 2020 because of the pandemic. This afternoon, we will be honoring the 2019, 2020, and 2021 recipients. Before we start, and I know they wear many hats, I just want to recognize that they're here, and that is the chairman of the Mashpee Wampanoag Tribal Council, Brian Whedon, and also the chairman, Brian, and also the chairman, yes, chairman of the Mashpee Select Board, David Whedon. And just a couple of quick thank yous. I want to thank our senior clerk, Ann Graham, for all the work she did in helping us get set up, and also our assistant town manager, Wayne Taylor, for opening up this facility. Originally, we were going to have it at the gazebo, but because of the humidity and the temperatures, we thought it'd be much nicer here in an air-conditioned place.
Thank you.
Just some quick background. The Preservation Award was started by the Commission to bring awareness to Mashpee history with the hope of preserving that history and to encourage individuals, homeowners, organizations, and businesses to take steps towards that preservation. The awards are meant to thank those who undertake such efforts and bring publicity with the hope that it will encourage others in town to do whatever they can do to preserve our unique culture and history for future generations. The first award we gave was in 2018, was presented to Earl Mills Sr. For the work that he did in stabilizing the parsonage from further deterioration, and from the work he did, and he continues to do, recording Mashpee's history through his writings and book publishing on Mashpee history and photo identification and restoration. This year, we will present the 2019 award to the Native Land Conservancy under the leadership of Ramona Peters, due to their efforts obtaining and preserving the land, the history, and the 3 islands in Wakeby Pond, Cleveland, Jefferson, and Keith Islands. The 2020 award will be presented to historian Rosemary Burns Love for her work researching Mashpee history, including extensive work and land deeds over the internet and the Barnstable County Registry of Deeds, and documenting and recording that history and turning it over for public use at the archives. And the 2021 award goes to the Mashpee Town Seal Committee for their efforts and final product in preserving Mashpee's history in the form of producing our own seal, replacing the seal that was sent to us by the Commonwealth of Massachusetts and was basically a replica of the state seal, containing very little of Mashpee's rich history. The new seal now preserves that history for all time. So to start, I would like to ask Brian Whedon to come up, first of all, with a Wampanoag prayer to begin our ceremony.
Thank you, Richard. Those of you that can stand, if you could please stand. This is a prayer for every time. Pion tamong wachi wami akwampakish. Manaka niko nahachik. Katabatanamu wachi wami kiakwasanish. Katabatanamu wachi kisak. Katabatanamu wachi anakwasak. Katabatanamu wachi aki. Katabatanamu Wachi Sipuash, Katabatanamu Wachi Katahanash, Katabatanamu Wachi Wami Awa Asak, Katabatanamu Wachi Wami Natonkosak, Ananamanian Namanat Wipi Wanikak, Ananamanian Asinat Wipi Sompuak, Anach. Creator and ancestors, thank you for all things. We thank you for the sky. We thank you for the stars. We thank you for the land. We thank you for the rivers. We thank you for the oceans. We thank you for all animals. We thank you for all of our relations. Help us to see only what is good and help us to do only what is right. Anach, let it be this way. Home.
And now I'd like to ask Brian actually to stay up and present the 2019 Preservation Award. I'm not getting away that easy.
Natasuis Mosquita, Nutomas Masipia, Kanatai Masipia. I said, good day, my name is Bearhart. I come from Mashpee and I live in Mashpee. I'm presenting this award as a commissioner to the Historical Commission. In 2019, after thinking about who should receive the Preservation Award, we had talked about it, and there was an article that came out in the Mashpee Enterprise, and it was about the Native Land Conservancy that was started by one of our own elders and community members, Ramona Peters, who has done a lot for our community, and her family's done a lot for this town, and holding on to the politics and making sure that the town ran and maintaining our traditions and cultures. So because of that, we thought that it was a great idea that those islands were being preserved for future generations to come. We see all the overdevelopment that's happened in our town, specifically around our bays and our ponds and waterways. So that's why it was important for us to honor this person. It's my honor to help present this award to Nosapaknit, her traditional name, who is not only a mentor and a leader and a spiritual leader in our tribe, but she's helped a lot of our people along the way. I know that her mother and my grandmother were very close, and her mother was in my grandparents' wedding, and my grandmother helped babysit her, and she's watched us. My grandfather, Talok, would always say that this generation he called the baby elders, but they are definitely the elders that are stepping up now that we're losing a lot of those older generations. So it's my honor to present the 2019 Mashpee Historical Preservation Award to Miss Ramona Peters and the Native Land Conservancy.
Thank you for the recognition. I would also like to recognize members of our board, directors, and some of the past ones. For now, I'll just mention the local. We are a Native-run land conservancy, but not all of the board members are Mashpee tribal people. We're a non-political organization. We're organized strictly for the preservation and conservation of land and waterways, wetlands, etc. So locally right now, Marlene Lopez is on our board, Charmin Brown. Our past president was Errol Hicks, myself, Leslie Jonas, the vice chair. So that's who we have right now that are from Mashpee, but there's several others from Herring Pond and Nipmuc as well. I just want to say that those ponds were a generous donation. We had to separate them from heavy traffic. There was a lot of parties out there. So we have created a swim-only zone. If you would like to visit those, you would have to kayak or canoe. No motors. So, thank you again.
You want to open that so we can see?
Oh, sure.
The Native Land Conservancy is also working with the town and the Conservation Commission on acquiring Chalk Chick Bog and the restoration of that as well.
So we have a new office down the street around the corner here in the, at 2 Center Street, or actually it's right there where the dance studio used to be. You know, if you ever get curious, please stop by.
Thank you.
Next, we have the 2020 Mashpee Historical Preservation Award, and we're going to ask Brian Hyde to come up and present that to Rosemary Burns-Love.
Thank you, Richard. Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. Before I start, Ramona, congratulations. I feel as a Mashpee resident for 40 years now, I'm a better Mashpee resident for having known you. I think you do a tremendous job representing the tribe and our community, and congratulations. So on behalf of Chairperson Costello, and members of the Mashpee Historical Commission, it is my distinct honor to introduce Rosemary Burns-Love today. I've known Rosemary for quite a while, and like Ramona, I've learned so much from Rosemary. Rosemary Hickey Burns-Love was born in Stamford, Connecticut, and is a graduate of Catherine Gibbs School in New York City. She was a longtime member of the Board of Directors of the Stamford Historical Society and is known for documenting Stamford's history in her book, Springdale Remembered, published back in 1982. A 41-year property owner in Mashpee and a member of the club at New Seabury since 1981, Rosemary was appointed to the Mashpee Historical Commission 36 years ago in 1986, where she immediately began her tens of thousands of hours researching and correlating records of Mashpee's past over 3+ decades. She continues her work today and every day, even this morning, documenting Mashpee's rich history, and is well known for our town's, as our town's most respected historian. No one has matched her research of Mashpee or knows more of the town of Mashpee and its ancestry as Rosemary does. To celebrate the 125th anniversary of the incorporation of the town of Mashpee, Rosemary authored Mashpee, 1870 to 1995, a pictorial history of our town. In 2008, Rosemary authored a second book about Mashpee, two history of New Seabury by the Sea Books. And if you have not had a chance to read the Mashpee in Words and Pictures, I highly recommend it. And if you want the Reader's Digest version, just grab the Chamber of Commerce guide for 2000, and it has a whole documentation of the incorporation of the town of Mashpee. As the Mashpee Historical Commission, the town of Mashpee's history we see is very rich, and we know the facts based on Rosemary's research. So she has also written many newspaper magazine articles of local histories, including the Mashpee Chamber of Commerce's 2020 magazine feature story. It's called 1870 to 2020, Mashpee Turns 150, exclamation point, the commemoration of the May 28, 1870 incorporation of the town of Mashpee. Nationally known authors such as Nathaniel Philbrick, William Martin, and Daniel Mandel have acknowledged her contributions to our local history. Rosemary is the founding director of the Mashpee One-Room Schoolhouse Preservation Council and served on Mashpee's Sesquicentennial Committee celebrating our town's 150th anniversary in 2020, along with Trish, my neighbor. After being widowed by her husband, Joe, Rosemary fell in love and married Jack Love. They reside on Aquay Bay, and as active golfers and boaters, they enjoy all of Mashpee's natural wonders. She's the mother of 3 lovely daughters, Kelly Young, June Norton, and Susan Windle. Today, Rosemary is committed to saving Popponesset Bay, as well as the Popponesset Inn, which is rumored to be torn down in 2024. Her friend Martha Palank writes, Rosemary is great, such a worker, so truthful, right down the line, holds no favorites, always says and does the right thing. She's the most truthful and honest person that you will ever meet. Love her. Our own Anne Graham from the Historical Commission, the backbone of the Historical Commission, states, research, research, research. Rosemary is very careful, so what she puts out there is right. Always actually correct. Spends hours and hours and hours researching records on the Barnstable Registry of Deeds every single day. As a person, she is astute and kind. She sees through the problem, really sharp, very much aware, interested, and engaged in the town of Mashpee. And they better get it right. She doesn't like to speak publicly, but knows the truth and shares it with whoever is willing to hear it. Another thought about Rosemary is her generosity. She donated all the monies collected from the sales of her books to a special fund to further research Mashpee's history. Some of those funds were used to do the dendrochronology work at the parsonage just last fall. Philanthropist and developer Chris Burden said, in an age where historical narratives have become the norm, Rosemary Burns has been relentless in the pursuit of historical facts. Mashpee is fortunate to have Rosemary, who served the community with such dedication and class. On a personal note, I am blessed that Rosemary has befriended my family and me. I have learned so much from her, not only about Mashpee's true history, but as much about grace and kindness, strength and gentleness. But most importantly, the essential value of research, documentation, and communicating actual facts. Mashpee is a better place because of Rosemary. Before we present Rosemary with this well-earned and deserved Historical Preservation Award, I'd like to share an anecdote of our relationship, which has become a recurring theme of the steadfast pursuit of truth and veracity of Mashpee's rich history. As a teacher and a chair of the History and Social Sciences Department for the Mashpee Public Schools, I, in collaboration with many residents and stakeholders, including Joan and others, wrote a curriculum for a course entitled The History of Mashpee. The goal was to preserve and appreciate Mashpee's history and to get it right. The Mashpee High School History and Social Science Department's The History of Mashpee was a one-semester student-centered course that consisted of lecture presentations, demonstrations, discussion of reading selections, and visits around the Mashpee community. Extensive inside and outside classroom research was the core of this course as Mashpee students learned to read actively and write for a variety of purposes. Students produced project-based assignments detailing the rich history, culture, and development of the town of Mashpee. A speaker series allowed students to apply their learning to the Mashpee community, utilizing technology, presentation, and organizational skills. Pride and understanding of their hometown of the Mashpee was developed. The research components included, first and foremost, a 6-week lesson on the Mashpee Wampanoag culture. The history of we moved into the history of the town of Mashpee. We researched Camp Edwards and Otis Air National Guard Base, the history of Fields Point, otherwise known as the Mashpee Commons, New Seabury, and Popponesset. All the waterways and natural resources were researched, and we concluded with the Mashpee one-room schoolhouse across the street, back when it was down Old Meeting House Road. Readings included On Our Own Ground by Willem Apis, The Wampanoag by Laura Weinstein Farson, Son of Mashpee by Earl Mills Sr. and Alicia Mann, The Mashpee Indians, Tribe on Trial by Jack Campisi, and of course, Mashpee in Words and Pictures, and A History of New Seabury by the Sea by Rosemary Burns. Speakers in this course included Jonah Van Tavares, David Pocknett, Earl Mills Sr., Robert Peters, Russell Peters Jr., Chief Earl Mills Jr., Marlene Perry, Sherry Pocknett, Jesse Baird, Guy Cash, Anna Juan Whedon, Patty Oakley, Anita Little, Mother Bear, and others. On the town side, we utilized people like Curtis Fry, our former Mashpee police chief, Tom Fidella, Arnold Chase, Chris Burden, Gordon Swanson, Rosemary Burns, Ann Whitlow, Frank Lord, Ed Baker, and Ed Larkin. I tell you about the history of this class because while studying the acts of 1834, an act to establish the district of Mashpee, which essentially gave the responsibility of the care and management of the then Indian town and Indian and Mulatto propriety lands held in common to the hands of the Mashpee selectmen. and it recognized all Mashpee Indian and mulatto proprietors as voters. When I was first truly understood the value of Rosemary's research and to her value to the town of Mashpee. A guest speaker came and shared with the Mashpee High School students her conviction of the injustice that this act brought to the people of Mashpee soon after. Because in 1842, the district voted 30-1 here in Mashpee at the time to petition the legislature to set 60 acres to each male and female proprietor of the age of 21. The Act of 1842 passed, dividing the major portion of Mashpee's lands to 184 proprietors who lived in this town at that time, or in this region at that time, or in this district at that time. All these records of land have been researched by Rosemary since, all 184 of those parcels. Eventually, proprietors voted to become the town of Mashpee, and according to this passionate speaker, everyone lost their land soon because the taxes they could not afford to pay on this property. Students, audience members, and I were in awe. We were enraged that this injustice could happen. We were even brought to tears over this injustice. After the guest lecture concluded, Rosemary quietly approached me and asked me to schedule a meeting. I didn't know Rosemary at that time. I knew her, but I did not have the relationship that we have today. When meeting a few days later, our award-winning documentarian provided me with volumes of her research, actual records of actual records of deeds and allotment from the Barnstable County Registry of Deeds, and local records contradicted the speaker's oral history. That nearly all this land was already sold to the proprietors at that time. Here I was confused. Here I was torn. Oral versus written. What it was truly began to weigh Mashpee's oral histories and the cited evidence. Today, anything that is read without documentation is sometimes tough for me to understand. Sometimes it's tough for me to believe without the written documentation. So I learned at that point that Rosemary's work of documenting what happens in this community is what will persevere throughout time. As Chris Burns stated, in an age where historical narratives have become the norm, Rosemary Burns has been relentless in her pursuit of historical facts. And as a historian, I appreciate that and respect that. We applaud, appreciate, and I'm forever grateful to you, Rosemary, for celebrating Mashpee's documentarian today and for your steadfast pursuit of truth and justice. Thank you, Rosemary. Without any further ado, I'd like to present this award to Rosemary Burns Love.
As Brian has said a great deal, but it's just wonderful for me to receive an award for doing what I love to do, and that is researching and documenting Mashpee's history. So I thank everybody on my fellow commissioners and all of you. I love Mashpee.
Thank you. You get open your gift. Says Richard.
All right. And a picture of our school, of our archives, 1963 it was open.
That's not mine.
Oh, my.
Can I help you out there?
Oh, how wonderful. Oh, my goodness. Historical Preservation Award presented to Rosemary Burns Love. Thank you.
Now I'd like to ask our chairperson, Ava Costello, to come up to present the Mashpee Town Seal Awards for the 2021 Preservation Awards.
Well, now we get to the present. We've already dealt with history of the past, and now we're into the present. And that has to deal with the very easy decision that the Historical Commission had for the I can't even remember what year it is, 2021 Historic Preservation Award. As the Cape Cod, I've got my notes here, Cape Cod Times on November 29th of 2021 said, the redesigned Mashpee Town Seal to create a lasting legacy. And that's what it's done. That's what this group of people have done for Mashpee. And it's unusual that in one's lifetime, one gets to see the process and hear the process of the creation of a town seal, especially around here, because town seals have been in vogue for many generations. And it all started with Brian Whedon in the back with his petition for a warrant on the town meeting to take another look and make the town seal of Mashpee representative of Mashpee itself. So Brian, I haven't asked him to do this yet. Brian, would you tell us what each of the symbols on the town seal mean? I've read several different reports on the town seal, and I've talked to several different people, and every once in a while, and in the newspaper, I get a different answer. So Brian, would you mind coming up? And he'll never forgive me for this. Just fill us in on the meaning behind the town seal.
Sure. So obviously, it's great to see our fellow board members here that helped with this. This was not an easy process, considering this was in the middle of COVID, which kind of stopped a lot of our work. I think that if, we didn't have this pandemic, we could have come up with the seal a little sooner. But we did decide to go with the water bodies. Masipi means place of the great waters. So you see the Mashpee River. The sun also represents a new day, but it also represents the people of the first light, which is the meaning behind the Wampanoag people. We also represented the eagle, which is flying. The eagle to the native people, they carry our prayers to the Creator, but the eagle is also a symbolism in American culture and history as well. So we put the eagle there also to represent that. And then Kunipiamu Masipia basically says, welcome to Mashpee. And the town of Mashpee and Kunipiamu Masipia is all in our blue, which was the school's idea, Superintendent DeBoer, with our Mashpee Falcons in the blue. And then the purple that you see around the edge and the border is supposed to symbolize the wampum beads. So you see the purple and the white, which represent the unity of the Wampanoag and non-natives as well. So that's just a little bit of the description of the town seal and the work that we did to get there.
Thank you. What I'm going to do is call up each individual member of the Town Seal Committee. Please say a word if you'd like, and we'll start with Brian, so he doesn't have to get up and down. Yeah. Oh. Is that better? Okay. Brian. And if you would like, you can open it and show for everyone. One of the things while Brian is need to get my my teacher voice out there. You don't need this then. When the commission picks their awards, the awards that people are going to receive, they're all different because we want the award to reflect what the person is getting their award for. So with Ramona, we had a picture of the islands in Mashpee Wakely Pond. For Rosemary, for dedication, lifelong dedication was the clock. And for Brian, if you want to read it.
It says 2021 Mashpee Historical Commission Historical Preservation Award presented to Brian M. Whedon, Town Seal Committee, with a beautiful depiction of the town seal.
Thank you. All right, so one of the members of the Town Seal Committee, Terry Cook. Come on up, Terry. Thank you for all you've done.
Thank you very much. It's nice.
Have anything you want to say?
I just want to say I was very honored to be a part of this committee because it was due time for us to have our own identity with our own seal. And I appreciated the 6 others that worked with me on this and can't say enough. I'm very proud of what we came up with.
Thank you. David Whedon. Thanks, David.
I just want to echo what Terry had said, that working through the process of designing a new seal, we all took it very seriously. I would like to give special thanks to Evan Laher, our town planner, for crunching. He created the surveys and things that we put forward to crowdsource information so that we had a lot of input from the town. I was a little nervous as what we were going to get back on that, but it was satisfying to see that a lot of the things that we were all concerned with made it back through the survey, and it quantified the end result. And Evan did a remarkable job with, crunching all the data and compiling it so it was usable, and it made the process very easy to go through. And also our consultants, they did a fine job. It was great working with them. They made the process really enjoyable, rather easy, very willing to take the criticism of the collective group, and it was a pleasurable experience. I'm glad that the town supports it and is happy with the end result. Thank you.
Thanks, David. And speaking of Evan Lerner,
Thanks, David, for your kind words. For me, I spend the vast majority of my day contemplating change and trying to come up with the best public discourse or facilitate public conversations on that change and what change can look like or should look like, or if we should do anything at all. And often those conversations are incredibly polarizing and challenging to facilitate in a productive manner. But this one was, I think, a special process because there was such substantial consensus on the endeavor and on the mission. So that made the process not only joyful, but the end product something I think people latched onto and are generally proud of. So it wasn't a substantial deviation from my thought process when I approached the job, but I'd say it was just pleasant, and I really appreciated that because sometimes it's not. So thank you.
thank you, Evan. Our Joan.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm glad to be here this afternoon because there was a couple of people I hadn't seen before, and I've met them, and I feel good about that. And there's a little baby boy here who is so precious. So he's got me going. I want to read something that I woke up about 1 o'clock in the morning, and I just had some things that I want to say. to a group of people, such as you, okay? And I'm going to read that, because I can't remember 2 words, let alone 10. And you get to that when you get up in age once in a while. Okay. I guess you know I'm Joan Tavares Savant of Mashpee, Wampanoag. Good afternoon. The town of Mashpee Wampanoag seal is long overdue. It truly represents the Mashpee Wampanoag people of the First Light, us, who have lived here over 12,000 years ago. Our ancestors are sharing indigenous cultural pride and love as they have for decades. Our folks of today can smile. Our children can share the story as they put the puzzle together. Our next generation will dance as the sun rises, eagles fly, and the river flows. Guess what? I'm not done. Chief Vernon Lopez, silent drum, now only 100 years old and retired, once said, "When I was growing up in the town of Mashpee, it was a wooded area with pitch pine, cedar, cranberry bogs, many old medicinal herbs, and edible berries. We fished the bays, rivers, and ponds, hunted the forest, planted the gardens, and traveled our ancient ways. I remember an ice house," he says, "one small store with penny candy. There was one school, no school buses. We had to walk to school," they said. "A post office and library, Baptist church, and the old Indian church. There was up street and down street." That was the name of the streets at that time. Guess what? I'm still not done. Mashpee Wampanoag lives in balance with Mother Earth. The Native American spirit from our ancestors, elders and sachems who collectively shared their wisdom and innate knowledge with each other for many years. They upheld the traditional customs for the indigenous society. Aunt Dinks tells us that mothers always made a variety of foods: pork chowder, homemade ice cream, cakes and pies, and oh yeah, potato bargain. Guess what? I'm not done. The Mashpee New Seal, rooted in tradition, representing the new day, connected to our Creator, our natural resources, water and wildlife, and welcome to Mashpee in our language, is a circle of Wampanoag life and tradition at its best. My grandmother mentions in her poem titled Reveries of Chiefs, Mabel Elevant, "In my heart there comes a longing. While I stand in deep reverie, when I think of tradition, old tradition," excuse me, I can't get that over. Ah, the days that used to be, our traditions not to forget. I'm not done yet. Believe that? I strongly suggest that the history of our town seal and our Mashpee Wampanoag flag should be developed into Mashpee Public Schools curriculum for all grades and staff. There are too many employees who know nothing about our people. And that is what I call totally disrespectful toward our students and parents. I give special thanks and appreciation to all involved in suggestions for change in the town seal. Guess what? I'm done.
And there's your,
Oh, I'm sorry.
All right, what this says on here is 2021 Mashpee Historical Commission, okay? All right. Historical Presentation Award presented to Joan Tavares Savant, Town Seal Committee.
Nice job, Eddie. You too, Auntie.
I like the musical accompaniment. Good planning. Kathy. Kathleen Mahoney.
Thank you. I think I would just echo what everybody else has said. It was truly a privilege to be asked to serve on this committee. Coming from the library background, it was such an opportunity and a learning experience to see what we didn't know, what resources we didn't have, and what we need to work on to bring to the whole community. Like everyone else, I was struck by how easily we worked together, what a pleasure the process was. And I think for me, one of the things, as we got nearer and nearer to the reveal, I wondered if we were also cohesive and on the same page. Was anyone or everyone else going to like what we came up with, and would it meet everyone's needs? And the night when we were here and the reveal happened, and we could hear the audible gasp in the audience, and we knew that it was resonating with other people and it meant something to everybody, that was the best feeling, and that was truly wonderful, and so I thank everyone for that. And the one other thing that I would add, in the beginning, I said to you all that after this was done, we really needed to make a picture book to put in the library about this whole process and the history of how we changed the seal. So Rosemary, I think we have a new project. Okay? There you go. Thank you.
And the archives wants a copy. And just not last but not least, just the way the packages were, Patricia DeBoer.
Thank you. I don't know if this is on. Again, it was an honor and a privilege for me to be asked to be on this committee. I thoroughly enjoyed every one of our meetings, the process that we went through from start to finish, the gathering of information and hearing voices from all across the community. It really is a remarkable experience. I'm so glad for our students that are still in the Mashpee schools that they get to see this new seal and learn from it. And we are doing a better job of making sure all new employees understand the tribe and the history better. So thank you for the opportunity. Great team.
We actually have just three more things. One,
You mean you're not done yet?
under Arvis' insistence, we will be asking all the existing Historical Commission members to come up here for a second, because we will sing with you accompanying us. Mashpee will shine tonight, and the program will end with a Wampanoag drumming at the close, and then we do have refreshments as well. So can I ask all the Mashpee, Nancy, Historical Commission members to come up?
I'm not forgiving you for this.
Brian has the best voice. Actually, Brian probably does.
Brian knows.
And you should have in your handout the words.
And. She's ignoring us.
Someone with a voice start us. Ready?
Why don't we say why we're doing this? Why we're doing this?
He's right.
No. Need the school voice again. David, are you going to join us? No. Oh, thank you. Well, I want everyone to join us. This is a song that has some mystery to it. We've heard some background of, it's to the tune of Mayberry RFD. I've heard that it was a poem. I've heard, so we have to do some more research on it. But Earl Mills, who was the recipient of our first Historic Preservation Award, was going to lead us in song, but he wasn't feeling well today. So here we go. We haven't practiced, and you're all going to join in with us. So 1, 2, 3, as they say. All right, who's going to start?
Mashpee will shine tonight. Mashpee will shine. She'll shine in beauty bright all down the line. Won't she look neat tonight, dressed up so fine? When the sun goes down and the moon comes up, Mashpee will shine. There you go.
Thank you all.
You gonna stay for a second?
You were sitting in the back there and didn't join us.
And to close the program, I'm going to turn it over to Brian Whedon, and then we hope you'll stay for some refreshments as well.
So can I just call all the recipients to come up here if you received an award, Ramona and the Town Seal Committee. You can face the audience. Everyone else, if you could please rise. Men, if you do have any hats, remove your hats. This is an honor song that we're going to sing. So this is to honor all of our recipients today. Way, way, Hey-oh, 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 hey-oh. Thank you, Katabatash.
Please help yourself to refreshments. Thank you all for coming.